welcome to Countercross TV. My name is Jason J. Rock Houston, and today we have with us as our guest Dog Eat Dog lead singer. I got to be honest, John. Well, like a lot of people, I've heard the name of the band. I'm not a huge fan. So, but in to preparation for the interview today, I went on and I checked out some of the music. I'm kind of impressed with what I hear. So, let me ask you, how old is the band? How long have you guys been around?
The band started in 1990, so we're 33 going on 34.
Wow, can you believe that?
Yeah.
And we're talking to you today because you have a new album coming out called Free Radicals. October 20th, it drops on Metalville Records. Now, let me ask you, I was reading that this is the first album since 2006. So, have you been inactive since then? Have you just constantly been touring and not had any new music?
No, we definitely haven't been constantly touring,
Okay.
but we've made a point of staying active. In the 90s when we kind of, let's say, had our heyday or
Mhm.
our hits period, we played a lot in Europe and we're on some big stages, and we still have been able to carry a following, not only through Europe, some other territories as well, but primarily in Europe. And we played the festivals every summer since 1994, 95, and continuing on, other than the COVID year when nobody was playing.
Sure,
But
sure.
we've always made our presence available. We haven't been focusing on recording. We had a rough time. We were
Yeah.
with Roadrunner for a while. We had bad management. We didn't get along with the label. So we had a rough road as far as the music industry, but we never lost the love of playing live, and we never quit as a band.
And how surprised are you that you guys that got that kind of following in Europe, but not necessarily here in America? I mean, I know you got your loyal fans here, but it's kind of interesting because you look at a metal band like Wasp, and until this last year, they had not played in the U.S. for like about 10 or 11 years, and
Mm.
I was hearing that a lot of promoters are kind of skeptical. Well, you guys haven't played America like in 10 or 11 years, and amazingly, they sold out everywhere they went. There was kind of this built up demand, I guess, being gone for so long from touring the U.S.
Yeah, yeah. I think bands go where the demand is. That's
Yeah,
just the natural current of things. Our
sure.
label mates and friend of ours, Ugly Kid Joe, they didn't tour Europe for like America, I mean, for 20 years, 25 years, something
Yeah,
crazy like that. And those guys have top 10 hits in the States. So you
yeah,
never know what mechanisms lead to where you go. But at the same time, like I said earlier, bands go where the demand is, where
sure.
promote calling from. So in our case, we had a great push in Europe. We found our way onto not only the specialty shows in Europe like Headbangers Ball and 120 Minutes, but we were getting mainstream rotation on our first album very unexpectedly. So we had the pleasure of the experience through underground clubs, more the hardcore metal community, all the way up to widespread pop exposure. And it was a wild ride, but
Yeah.
you never kind of know why you're going to hit or who you're going to hit with. At the end of the day, I can speak for our band. We make music for ourselves, something that we are proud of and that we like. And whether it resonates with people in Brazil or Indonesia or North Carolina, it's not important to us. We just want to reach people.
Yeah, while I'm not, like I said, I haven't really followed you guys. I've definitely heard the band and wherever you were out there. Um, a lot. The world has changed, John, throughout the band's career. I mean, you mentioned, Headbangers Ball, something that doesn't even exist. I mean,
Yeah,
you could probably go by MTV. You wouldn't even know you were on MTV these days. It's more of a TV network. I mean, they really, I
right.
never understood why they killed it. Um, um, so
I don't know.
how different is that for you to like stuff like that doesn't even exist and yet you're still out there making new music? And I gotta say, um even though I'm not somebody who's like hugely follow you, I have a huge amount of respect for bands doing that because there are a lot of bands in your position, and you could be one of the bands that say, you know what, we're going to continue just going out there and living off the hits. But partly, as you say, you got the desire to do it, and it's been since 2006 since you guys put any new music. I gotta
Yeah,
say, John, Connor, and the rest of Doggy Dog, thanks for continuing to pump out new music for your fans.
we appreciate that, Jason. Yeah. I just felt like we had in 2015, we had a guitar player who had been touring on and off with us for 10 years. But we felt like we could make him a member and it was time to kind of bring him in as a full-time member. And he said, guys, I'm happy to join the band, but I don't want to just play old stuff. I think we should try and make a move forward. We're still a hot live act. People are enjoying what we do. We have unique chemistry. Let's see what we can come up with. And he started the ball rolling. And from then on, we just have been taking it and going with it. I mean, we enjoyed the process of writing songs for our EP. We made a 4 song EP that we put out on our own, just to sell at live shows and to get
Sure,
on streaming, just to let people know we were alive and
sure,
kind of
sure.
give our longtime fans a gift as well. And then Metalville came calling, and they made the terms very friendly and understandable. We didn't even need a lawyer to sign the deal. We
Wow.
Everything was in plain English and favorable. So even though we've been burned in the past, we decided to give it another shot. Um, it's no secret if the band's been around for 33 years that we're not spring chickens or
Yeah.
kids anymore. But we feel like we have something to say, and this might not
Yeah.
last forever.
And
We already had,
watching the video for a new single, "Lit Up," I gotta say, for being a couple of old roosters, so to speak, you still like just watching you alone, John, in the video, you're jumping up and down. You got that energy. So,
yeah,
I guess rock and roll has kept you guys alive. Young at heart.
in many ways it has. In many ways it has, man. We've enjoyed it. There's also been some casualties. We lost one of our dear friends and founding member, Sean Kilkenny, along the way,
Wow.
in 2001. So, it hasn't been all
Roses. Yeah.
peachy and rosy, uh, but we're a family and we stick together, and we've been through our ups and downs, and we stick together through it.
When you guys go through something like that, it must be incredibly hard, especially probably being a lot younger at the time. Did you ever have doubts about like, should we carry on without him or?
Well, Sean died in 2021, so it's pretty recent,
Yeah,
but it still hits hard.
yeah,
He wasn't part of the band for a good length of time, but in a case like that, it's not a band member or an ex-member that we've lost; it's a brother. So
sure, I hear
it
you.
it,
Yeah,
it definitely hits in a way that only a friend and a brother can. For
yeah,
us, one of the nice things is that we get to hear people, his friends around the world, talk about him and share
yeah.
stories. And when we get to play songs that Sean was a part of and helped write, we we feel like he keeps his name alive, and
Mhm.
that's it. That's what he would want.
And let's talk about some of your influences, John, because the band's sound is quite interesting. And that like I'm typically a guy that listens to hard rock and metal. I got an appreciation for everything, like
Mhm.
even stuff like Tom Petty, the Rolling Stones, the Eagles. You know why? That's well written stuff. These are songs that we've been hearing for 40, 50 years on the radio, and there's a reason for that. Now, you
Yeah.
guys have a sound that's kind of, I would describe a cross of metal meets rap. And what I like about it is um, I like the fact that like it's not all rap. It's kind of it's hard to explain, but you guys the two worlds kind of collide and come together, and it's a unique sound.
Yeah. Well, Brandon, David, and myself, we've been playing together since '95, and then Dave and I go even further back. Roger, like I said, was with us like 15 years, and it's going on 20 now. So there's a chemistry there that we have and a musical language that we've developed over time. It's You can't discount the miles logged in a van
Sure,
and
sure.
on stage as a band. So we've cut our teeth together, and we've also quickly learned how to speak the same language to move forward and write new
Mm,
material. And I think one of the exciting things about it is that Roger brings a different perspective and a
yeah, yeah.
different energy into it. And that's really inspired me a lot. all I need is a little spark, and I can come up with a verse or lyrics or a song idea. Even though we haven't released a ton of music, that's
Mm,
still a skill that I've
sure.
had and kept over the years. So you know, for us, we're influenced not only by music, but by film, by books,
Interesting.
current
Yeah.
events. There's so many things that I think you can draw from if you're tuned in. And
Mm.
one of the things that we've gained with age is experience, and you know how to kind of take those influences and mash them into something that's we hope original.
And how do you feel about like getting on topics such, as the current state of the world, political issues? Do you try to stay away from that, or do you like to kind of go there?
Um, yeah, I mean, I enjoy people. I like talking about
Sure.
anything really. Music, politics isn't my favorite subject,
Yeah.
but I feel like it's even more so lately with all the
Yeah.
polarization that it's important that people take time to listen to each other. Nobody even wants to listen anymore, and I
Yeah.
think that's the wrong approach. It's okay to have your own views.
Sure.
It's more than okay. You should as an adult, but I think you don't always. It's not to agree with somebody, but it's just to let them voice it out.
Oh,
When you do
sure.
that, then all of a sudden you have dialogue and you start realizing what you have in common. And
Mm.
yeah, that's what I want to talk about in
That's a
regards to
beautiful thing about
politics.
music is music has a way of bringing people together, uniting. I'm so
Yes.
with what you say about the polarization. I mean, I don't even think it matters which side somebody is politically. I miss the days of being able to have a conversation with somebody where, the art of a debate, where, especially candidates
Sure.
used to run and it'd be about
Yeah.
not bad mouthing or trashing each other, but like trying to convince me to vote for you, what are you going to
Right.
do for me?
Yeah.
That is what is missing, and the fact that somebody could just judge somebody based on a political party or based on something they said without even knowing the person, it's a sad state of affairs.
Yeah, I agree, but I haven't lost hope yet. I think
Yeah,
people.
and you just mentioned some about the fact that not having released any new music in a while, you still got that drive to do so. You got those creative juices to get. What was that like? Get in the studio for the first time in years and create like some new music.
For us, it was about a 5 year process
Yeah,
because once we finished the EP,
COVID.
we finished that in the fall of 2016. We were like, okay, we can do this. We had some extra ideas still that we weren't able to fit on a 4 song EP. And we decided with the producer that we'd like to move forward with him because it was a very easy process when it came to the final steps, which
Yeah,
are
yeah,
critical. Are people happy with the mix? Do we feel like this represents the band? And there was very little fighting. There was very
yeah.
little debate. Honestly, we were all like, "Yeah, he's doing a great job. We're all represented here. This is great." So when we decided to move forward, we started writing and recording in 2017, and it's only now that we're able to get all these songs together. We finished last summer because we would only do it in the summertime. Like
Yeah.
Doggy
Oh, okay.
Dog basically is like a seasonal band.
Yeah.
We'll play in the spring and summer, sometimes into the fall if gigs come up, especially stateside. We've done
So are you
winter
like a full
gigs.
time musician? Is this a full time thing you do, or do you guys have
No,
day jobs and stuff?
yeah, we all do different things. Um, in our downtime. And I think that's one of the things that's actually helped keep us together because if a band feels economic pressure
Yeah.
and they have to make money somehow, I think it's very difficult to have artistic integrity
Sure. Sure.
and not let that affect you and not let that affect your business decisions. So for us, we've been able to basically tour, within a, let's say, 8 month period of the year. And then for 4 months of the year, we're basically away from each other. We're working out our jobs. We're not touring for 8 months consecutively, but that's kind of back and forth to Europe or doing shows in the States or whatever comes up. So
Yeah, yeah.
it hasn't been a full-time endeavor, and it's a unique way of going about it, but we've never been a band that followed any rule
Any
book
trends?
or
Yeah.
any style or trend. We've always done our own thing.
But it's interesting because very much probably during your heyday, it was a very different way. Bands probably couldn't have done it back then, but that's the nice thing that you're in a place where you can still do what you
Yeah.
love. And I would imagine the fact that you're not out there constantly touring, 365 days a year, when you do get to take some time off from a day job and go do it, it's got to make it that much more fun.
Well, you're right, Jason. I appreciate both sides of it
Yeah,
because if I was trying to pursue music 365 and have that pay the bills,
yeah,
I probably wouldn't have time for anything else.
yeah,
And I think I have a full life
yeah.
here. I've been coaching youth hockey
Wow.
in the area here for 20 years as a volunteer coach. Those are things that if I was trying to just do music, I'd never be able to
I was
do.
curious, did you get involved with coaching kind of just for fun, or do you have kids that are involved in it as well?
No, I don't have kids of my own, but I got involved because I love the game,
All right,
and
yeah,
I did have a bunch of time when Doggy Dog wasn't touring, and
yeah,
I was kind of just working part time or whatever, and I figured it was a good way to stay fit
yeah.
and also give back. I
There
have
you
many
go.
gifts.
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
been able to travel the world. I've been able to meet some of my heroes and call
Well,
them
see, John,
friends.
you're making a difference in the world, and more than just with your music. I mean, that's great that you can volunteer or do that in your spare time with these kids.
I appreciate that, and I hope it is. I think I've seen it with the kids that have come through the program. But the main thing is to have balance in life,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
music, like you said, is a great way to connect people. And I've been blessed to be able to connect with so many people and do so many shows that giving back is natural to me. That's the
Sure.
way I was
I was
raised.
curious, if your is your like professional, life ever kind of cross like people like maybe from your day job find out you're in this band, ever come see the band play live? Oh wow, John, we had no idea you were so wild or such a wild guy.
Yeah, with YouTube and all of that,
Yeah.
it's become more common. And
Uh-huh.
it's funny, some of the kids from the program maybe that I coached when they were
Uh-huh.
7 or 10, 12, and they grow up and now they're out of college even, and they're like, Coach, I had no idea you were a rock star. I thought you were just a hockey coach.
Wow.
So I've had funny moments like that, and
Yeah.
certainly coworkers have gotten a
Yeah.
kick out of seeing what I do. But I think everybody's complex. We
Yeah.
all have different pursuits and
Sure.
different things we do. Just because I've been able to connect with people through music
Sure.
doesn't make me any better or worse than
Oh no.
people. I think it makes me fortunate,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm grateful for it. But you know, I still, like today I was gardening. That's what I've been doing lately, and I've done lots of different jobs over the last 20 years. But lately I've been a gardener, and I love it. Being outside, fresh air, it's all good.
I mean, when we talked today, if it wasn't for your music, John, and I'm kind of glad we are, because I learned quite a bit today. Now let me ask you, but the name of the band, Doggy Dog, I love the name. I mean, that's an old kind of one of those old time phrases. But I was curious,
Yeah.
how did you guys come to name the band? And did you ever get confused because in the early '90s, the band Warrant, they had an album called Doggy Dog. Did anybody ever think that was you guys?
Yes, because first I'll answer how we came up with the name. Basically, Dave, Sean, and I, when we started the band together, we wanted to go through a democratic process. So
Uh,
there's three of us kind of making the decisions at first, and we were coming up with a name, and we couldn't come up. We said on the band name we have to have unanimous vote, so we couldn't come up with a name, and we had gone through a couple of names. I think we played a show under F Troop, the
okay.
old
Yeah.
TV show
Yeah. Yeah.
F
Yeah.
Troop. We were doing that, or there was another name, but uh, our bass player Dave, his girlfriend suggested Doggy Dog, and we all said yes. And
Yeah.
right around that time, George Bush Senior, the first one,
Yeah. Yeah.
said like Doggy Dog or something like on TV or in a press conference, and we're like, okay, we're on to something. This is a good name. Let's keep it. And I'm sorry, what was the second part of the question?
Talking about the fact that the band Warrant had, I think it was
Oh,
their third
yes.
album, was called Dog Eat Dog.
Right. So we signed with Roadrunner in 92, 93, and we already had a demo tape, and they said, we just want you to re-record your demo tape. We're going to put it out as an EP. And right, they're searching our name. Back then you had to do legal searches
Yeah,
to make
yeah,
sure
yeah.
we could name Dog Eat Dog. Funny enough, we get the name, but there was a band called Dog Eat Dog from New York in the 70s. They never gave us any trouble,
Wow.
but we secured the name and we're getting ready to put out the EP, and it was just going to be the self-titled
Yeah.
Doggy Dog
Yeah,
EP. But Warrant put out the Doggy Dog album, and we were like, oh, fuck that. Like, these guys named their album Doggy Dog right before we drop uh, our first product as a band. So we called our EP Warrant. And they had Warrant had Doggy Dog, and Doggy Dog had Warrant. So record stores hated it because they didn't know where to put whose record.
yeah.
Uh, they
It's a
were
little,
not happy about it.
it's a little payback, and it's
Yeah.
funny because I heard Janie Lane talk over years that of all his albums he put out, his favorite one was the Dog Eat Dog album because it wasn't as commercial.
He was pissed
It's
that
funny.
our
Could you imagine too if you had gone with the F Troop name? Interesting name for a band, but I bet the producers of a classic TV show would have been after you guys. You know,
well, it's funny because a TV show came later on called Dog Eat Dog, and there was a movie called Dog Eat Dog with I think Nick Cage and Willem Dafoe. So it's been used,
that
but
many
you know
times.
we all we
Yeah, you guys are on to something definitely, and it stuck with you the longest. And kind of like the band Little Caesar, um, they were from New York and they were sued by Little Caesar Pizza out of California for
mm,
using that name, but I guess they came up with an agreement, a settlement.
yeah, sometimes money can make problems go away. I heard
Yeah,
something
yeah,
about that.
yeah. And so, how long has it been since you guys have been out on the road? Like a couple years?
No, no, we played quite recently. Yeah, we actually played in 2021. We were one of the only bands that played in Europe and America in the year 2021. But we just came home from 3 weeks in Europe,
Okay.
and we did a string of dates on the East Coast in between, and we were in Europe in June. So we hit up quite a few festivals. I think we did about 28 or 29 shows in total, and we're getting ready to go on a European club tour here in October and November.
Wow. Wow. And so after that is kind of the plan to see how the new album does, and then you guys want to hook up with maybe another tour or something.
We would love to uh, take a break after our fall run in Europe,
Yeah.
and there are definitely some cities that we know we'd want to go to it back in Europe in 24. But we'd also like to start promoting the album here in North America with live gigs, and we're interested in seeing who we can partner up with or do shows on our own and just start with the East Coast and see how that goes and build it from there.
Yeah, and before I let you go, John, but what I was asking about influences too, which is very true. Like, you can be influenced by different things to write a song, as you mentioned, but who are the singers that were kind of your heroes growing up? And I was curious, did you equally lean towards metal and rap, or as far as your influences go?
Well, now as a grown ass man, my favorite singer and artist is Bob Marley, but
Oh,
that wasn't
okay,
my original influence.
that's
I think
interesting.
Bob Marley, yeah, I think Bob Marley, his lyrics are timeless. I think his message is simple enough for most children to understand, but
Yeah.
it resonates in a beautiful way. And I thought he was a real special guy. When I was a kid, some of the first things I remember were getting into like Kiss,
Okay.
hearing Kiss, hearing AC/DC on
Yeah.
the radio, things like that. But my Siren Call was the first time I heard Paranoid by Black Sabbath.
Wow. Wow.
I never
Yeah.
forget the day I was delivering newspapers on my bike on a Sunday morning, and I had the Walkman. I was probably 10 or 11 years old, maybe in that range.
Yeah.
And You know, just hearing the riff and hearing Ozzy's voice wail out, I just started pedaling my bike faster, and like there was something new in my
Yeah.
life. And
Wow.
from early metal things like that,
Yeah.
the classic metal is what
Yeah.
I grew up on.
Black
And
Sabbath, that's amazing. They're like their debut album just turned 50. They're all stuff 50 years
wow,
old. Yeah,
nice, I love
that's
it.
aging us, right, John?
I know, man, it's great. But shortly after that, I transitioned into like hardcore music.
Uh,
I got a great love for a New York band called Murphy's Law, and Jimmy is one of the best frontmen in the world, I think. Bad Brains as well. Their singer HR is just electrifying, and I got to see him. Yeah, lots of different things.
I love the fact that
Even
such a cross section of music. I mean, and that's probably why you're such a great writer, and you can do different things.
well, growing up just outside of New York City, uh, if you're curious like I
Yeah,
was,
yeah.
and you had a little bit of, like I said, I was delivering newspapers at 11 years old or
Wow.
something. So I always had a little bit of scratch or a little income to go see a show or get my ass,
And
into the
shows were a lot
village.
cheaper back then, huh? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
but there was such diversity
yeah,
too. Like
yeah,
you
yeah,
could see like Sunday night was reggae, Monday was some like
yeah.
soul club. You could see a metal band on Tuesday, take Wednesday off. It was hardcore on Thursday and hip hop on Friday.
I heard
So
somebody
like
tell me once they seemed like a show back in the 70s, like was there Aerosmith, Foghat, and ZZ Top or something like that. Yeah,
love it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And so also the thing about Dog Eat Dog having kind of that cross section of music, it makes it so you guys can play with different types of bands, metal, rap, and in between. Like,
Yeah.
what's the craziest band you've ever played with, or craziest bill you were ever on?
Huh. We did this show in the 90s for Dutch TV,
Uh,
and they set it up at this incredible venue. It's an old church that's turned into a nightclub called the Paradiso.
okay.
Rolling Stones made a live album there.
Oh,
Bad
wow.
Brains made a
Okay.
live album.
Wow.
Um, so the idea behind the show was they were going to pair up two artists from different
Genre.
backgrounds,
Yeah.
totally genres, right? So Soul Coughing was one of the bands that was involved with it. I forget who the other people were,
Uh,
but they paired Dog Eat Dog up with the Persuasions. And
wow.
the Persuasions are like an old soul, like doo-wop
Yeah.
style
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
group.
wow.
But
That,
so for some reason, when we got together, we decided that we had done a cover of "Why Does It Hurt?" While I Pee from Frank Zappa, or When I Pee, sorry. Why Does It Hurt When
okay.
I Pee?
Yeah.
The Frank Zappa song. And those guys knew the song, or they knew the singer, because Frank had a soul singer, I forget who it was, with him on that song. And they're like, okay, we got it. And yeah, we ended up doing Why Does It Hurt When I Pee
Wow.
with the Persuasions.
Yeah.
And those guys were as cool as cucumbers. We had the best time sound check. And of course,
I love that. I love that.
we had to turn it down a little bit, and they got out of their normal kind of comfort zone as well. And
How cool. How cool
when
is
you hit
that? Yeah.
people with open minds,
Yeah.
you can do a lot.
John, it's been great getting to know you, talking to you. I'll tell you what, once the album comes out, I have a chance to hear the entire thing. I'd love to have you back so we talk more specifically about the songs. I also have another
Right
show
on.
on the same site called This Is Metal that I do
Okay,
with the co-host. So I'll talk to him about having you guys back in a couple of months. So let's definitely keep in touch, okay?
sounds great, man. I really enjoyed speaking with you, and you have a wonderful night.
Yeah, anytime you have something to promote, feel free to reach out to me, okay?
Thank you so much, Jason.
Do you have a Facebook page or anything?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Doggy Dog
I'll look you guys up
official,
on Facebook.
Instagram, Facebook, and we'll be sure to share it. I'm so happy I have some North American journalists with interest, and happy to promote
Yeah,
Doggy Dog.
yeah.
So we
We'll
appreciate it,
add me
brother.
and our site categories to your list of people there. Take care, John.
We definitely will, and we'll make sure some of our fans go check your stuff out. Okay.
Thanks, buddy. Take care. We'll be
Take
in
care,
touch.
brother.